Right, hello guys, EV Bloke here, back with another video. It's been a little while, guys, and I think, like I said before, I'm probably only going to be doing videos when something new comes up on the car. And that now I've got about 60 videos on this car now, on the Atto 3, just there. I'm actually sitting in the MG4. I've got a couple of videos up on the channel about that. So what I thought I'd do today is just go over the 5 good things about this car, the 5 bad things about this car. So that's what we're going to kind of do really here now. So I like to do these kind of ones because no cars are perfect, of course. Now, the overall arching thing about this car is this wouldn't actually be for me personally. I wouldn't actually buy this car, I don't think. And there's a few reasons which I'll go into in a while why that would be. It's not a bad car. It's obviously a fairly cheap EV by EV standards. If you go and get one of the sort of lower spec ones, I mean, you can get them well under 30 grand. So probably get quite a good PCP deal on them and that now and that kind of a thing. But yeah, so let's get into the silly things, really. Some of the 5 silly things or pointless things or whatever you want to call it on this car that I've noticed in my time of being with the car, really, which is about a month or so now. It's going to go back soon. I've got it on a bit of a long loaner. So let's have a look at that. So yeah, okay, so we'll turn the camera around. So you're doing, that's the infotainment system there and everything. So the 5 silly things are, straight away here you can see you've got park here, but you've also got park here. So kind of a bit of a waste of thing there. It's in a lot of cars, a lot of electric cars, and I do not know why. Why is that not sufficient? Because that's the one I use. Because when I pull into park, this is what you're obviously using for your drive, neutral and reverse and everything. So you just literally tap on that and there we go. So that's rather a bit silly. So you've got that there. One other thing is these cup holders. The cup holders themselves are actually pretty good. I'm not going to criticize the cup holders too much. But where the problem comes in with these cup holders, and it's happened to me a couple of times, is this here is quite close to the cup holder. So as you go to bring it up, especially if you're sort of driving or a set of lights or something like that, you're not quite paying attention, you can clip this, which can then tip the cup up. And I have actually had it where I've tipped it up this side, and luckily my phone wasn't there at the time, so it just filled this up with a bit of coffee kind of thing. But you could actually, because very often, especially if this is over here like this, I can put my cup across here, and so ergonomically could be better there, really. Let's put it that way. Third silly thing is these here. As you go to get out of the car, you very often go to grab here, or I have been doing that anyway. And there's a few times that I've left the back window open on here because I've clicked on that one there or something. And if it's a bit loud or a bit busy, you don't hear it, you walk away from the car, and this car does not detect or doesn't allow you to. There's no alarm system. I don't have the app. It probably shows you on the app if I had the app. But it doesn't actually show you anything with regards to the whole sort of setup there in terms of what you call it, in terms of what's the word I'm looking for? There's nothing to actually know that you've left the window down. If you can lock it, walk away. There's no alarm going to go off or anything like that. So you've now got a window down. That's rather silly. They probably could do with either being a bit more further forward or a bit more further back. I don't know. Most of them, I think on my car, they're a bit more sort of up this way. So you open the car, you sort of put your hand here somewhere, and you end up putting one of the windows down. I mean, I'm getting better to that. You could also lock it from here, so that wouldn't happen. Oh no, they're still open up even then. Oh, that's weird. That actually locks that. I thought that would lock those, but it doesn't. Oh well, there we go. That's another fault then. Number 4 is these here. This is so fiddly here when you're driving along in rain. It's got kind of several settings on it, but they don't seem to really change very much. A rain sensor wiper, which most cars have now. Actually, I don't have one on mine, but these are just useless, really. I don't like them. They're a bit silly, and you end up pressing the end there and pressing your water bottle and all this kind of stuff, and it just gets a bit of a mess, really. So that's rather silly. And then the other thing is everything is buried in here, including all the functions for things like the lane keep assist. And the lane keep assist on here is absolutely a nightmare. It really is, because it really does tug. It really does tug. I know you can have it on sort of just to make a sound or just this or whatever, and as soon as you get to 30 miles, over 30 miles an hour, this starts really binging at you, or tugging you. So even when you're dead center in the lane, you go around a slight bend or something, it starts to panic and it starts pulling you. So it's really dangerous. So you have to then go into the screen here to turn it off. The problem with that is that's all well and good, but the thing is, once you've turned it off, the next time you get back into the car, it's back on again. So you've got to keep going into the screen every time to turn all these things off, all these things. And that's in a lot of cars I know, and that's pretty bad, I would say. And the other thing is and number 5 is this infotainment system here cuts off all the time. So you've got it plugged in here, and you've got your Apple, your Apple or your Android Auto on, and it just cuts off. It just randomly cuts off. If you slightly touch the lead, it's not my phone, but if you slightly touch the lead, what happens is it just cuts all the information off there. So you lose your maps, you lose everything, music as well. So if you're listening to music and all that kind of thing, it's just going to literally get cut off, and then you have to take it out, reset it. So I don't know why that's so sensitive. In actual fact, I don't even know why it's not wireless now in 2024, but 2025. But there we go. So let's move on to some 5 good things about this car. One thing I do love is this display. I love the fact that you've got all this information here since your last charge. So you've got your the miles you've done, how long your driving time is, your average speed, and then your miles per kilowatt here, which miles per kilowatt is much better. And you can do that from last charge. But if you want to, you can reset it with this button here by holding down and pressing it. You can reset all this for every trip. So if you wanted to know what your miles per kilowatt were for every trip, you could do that. And then obviously you've got your lane keeps side of the things here and your adaptive cruise control. Here you've got your miles per hour, your speed detection thing there, what speed you should be doing on a certain road. And then down below there, you've got your percentage of battery plus your, what do you call it? Miles left. Second thing on this car, it's pretty efficient. I love the efficiency of this car. I've been averaging, that's there where it says 2.2 miles per kilowatt is not a very good example because I've only done 23 miles and it's all been stop, start, stop, start. It's been over a few days because I've not been using the car that much at the moment. So at the end of the day, that's not a very good reflection, but it's roughly getting about 3.5, 3.6 in this really cold weather we've had. And I'm pretty happy with that. I've done a long trip the other day to Bournemouth in it. And what I found was, its efficiency is really, really good. I did need to do a top up on the way home after about 150 miles, but it still had 20% of battery in it. And I might have even possibly made it home. I don't know, but it wasn't too bad. And so that was good. But yeah, it's got all that kind of thing going on. So that's really, really nice about that. The other thing I like on this car, even though again there's a negative to it because you've got to keep going in here every time for everything, is it's got the one pedal driving, which I love. One pedal driving, you just put that on. There doesn't seem to be a way of keeping it on, and so therefore when you've got the one pedal on, once you get out of the car and back in, you've got to also go through that again. So that's a pretty silly thing about that. The next good thing is the adaptive cruise control. I find when you're on a motorway and you set it on that, it holds at its speeds and holds the lane quite well. And that's a really good thing about about this car as well. So I do like that. That's really, really good. The other thing is the storage is not bad for a small little car like this. You got this down here. You've always got your cup holders there. you've got your pockets there. You've also got a deep pocket here, which is pretty good. And you've got your connectivity and stuff there. So you've got your connectivity under there and that. So it's all quite ergonomically quite good. You've got pretty useful door bins. We can get cups and a bottle in there very often. So that's pretty good as well. That works well. So there's some quite good things about this car. The other thing I like is the easy use of the screen. The screen is pretty easy to use, and I do like that about it. So the screens are very, very easy to. You won't need long in this to find your way around. I mean, in some cars you get in and you just got so many menus, so many things everywhere. You just think, how am I going to work all of that? But this one works quite well in that regard. Moving on to the car itself, at speed. At low speed, it's quite crashy. It's one of the reasons I mentioned at the beginning of the video why I wouldn't have this car is because at low speeds, it is quite heavy on the road. It's you feel all the bumps coming through, and if you're just driving around town for an hour or so, just in a local area where you're not doing much over, say 30, you do get a lot of. If you're going over potholes or dips in the road or anything like that, you feel everything coming straight through the cabin. You feel a little bit. And because these seats are not actually the best for a long journey, which I found out the other day when I went to Bournemouth, you end up coming back with a bit of a, but I don't want to put people off of that because that's me. And other people might not notice it as much. I mean, my car is obviously quite soft in its suspension. It's a much bigger vehicle. This is low slung, and it's obviously very much geared up to a more sportier drive. Which brings me on to the fifth thing I love about the car is the response of this car when it's on a motorway. When you're on a motorway in this car, cruising along at 70, it's the actual opposite of the town stuff. Problem is, I do more town stuff than I do motorway driving. I try to avoid motorways as much as I can, but if I do motorway driving, this is what would be a car that's lovely to have on there. The cruise control is good, and it cruises along nicely at 70 miles an hour. And it's just a nice drive at speed. It's very, very smooth when it gets up to speed. So a lot of things for you to think about if you're thinking about buying this car. As I say, there's drawbacks to it. There's good things about it, as there are with all cars, really. It wouldn't be for me. I'm a big guy. I'm tall. This is quite low. The seats are not that comfortable for me personally. And it wouldn't be something I would ever consider for myself. But I think if you've got a couple of young kids and you're quite happy to sort of persevere with some of those drawbacks, it also has a lot of good sides to it too. As I say, it's a good performing car, very efficient. And also the charging speed is 125 kilowatts maximum speed. But this is a fairly smallish battery, and you can get that up in half an hour. You can be up to over 80%. So it's one of those, if you wanted to do a splash and dash, in a charger or something like that, just to put a few miles in it to get it back on the road, you can do that in this car as well for the size battery it is to the charging speed. Even though 125 kilowatts is not class leading or anything, it's certainly way better than mine. But also it's good enough for the size of battery in this particular car. So I hope that helps you guys with the MG4. I should be handing it back soon. So when I hand it back, obviously, I shall. I should perhaps do an end review on it just to let you guys know what my overall is of it. I mean, probably with these points it tells you most of it, but like I say, it's not a bad car. Definitely not a bad car, and it's cheaper than a lot on the road, of course. So definitely go down to MG and try one out if you feel that could be for you. Wouldn't be for me personally. As I say, it's a little bit. I don't like the town drive on it. It's very, very intrusive. The heaviness. Maybe it's just this vehicle, or maybe it's this particular model of it. This particular trim or something. I don't know. The wheels that's on it or something like that. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you've got an MG4 and you don't have that problem. But certainly, I've experienced that at low speeds, which you're going to be doing around town. It's just all the time intrusive, and I do most of my stuff around town or around towns. So a lot more than I do a lot of motorway driving these days. So therefore, it's a bit of a nose goer for me personally, but you might like it, and if you do, fair play to you, because it's not a bad car, but it's, as I say, it's just a little bit, just a little bit. That would be the thing that puts me off. And also, these seats are not the most comfortable. They're quite low, of course. It is a low car, but yeah, I don't find I can get a very comfortable position in it. But that could just be ergonomics. It could just be my size or height. That kind of thing. I don't know. But anyway, I do have plenty of room in it. I mean, well, I say plenty of room. I mean, I've got about a couple of inches on top. I've got this set to the lowest point. So, but I mean, it's not, my head isn't touching the roof or anything. But I mean, if you was taller than me, I'm 6'3", you would be starting to get a bit of an issue there, possibly. But I mean, for most people, it's going to be more than okay in with that regard. But so anyway, I've gone on enough about it. But it's like I say, overall, it's an okay car. It's a good car, I'd say, almost really. It's just some of those little pointers, really. Even some of the silly things which I mentioned, you can live with those, really. I'm just pointing them out because they're a bit silly, really. So I mean, but there we go. So I'll catch you on the next one, guys. Like I say, this year moving forward, I'm hoping to get more different types of cars on the channel. If there's an update, like a software update, or anything changes on the BYD, I should do a video on it. Otherwise, I won't be doing too many videos on the BYD now. I've got a pretty big library. If you're getting a BYD Atto 3, or you have one and you want to know more about it, please go and check some of the videos on the channel, because there's quite a lot there. And that way you can see for yourself whether you think it's for you or not. But like I say, I've got everything about that car on there. I've done the efficiency stuff with it. I've given all my good and bad points about the car, all that kind of thing. And so, yeah, so if you're after a BYD Atto 3, check out the channel. As for the MG4, I might do one more video on this, but then this will be going back probably by the end of week or next week, latest. So I won't be doing too many more videos on this. This was just a loaner to have a feel of how it is. And like I say, it's an okay electric car. It does what it says on the tin, really. I do like the efficiency, I have to say. I mean, we've had some really cold weather at the moment, and this has been holding up well on that side of it. So you can get a few miles in this before having to recharge, surprisingly, because it's not got the biggest battery in it. And it charges quite well, so it's not a problem that way. So I do like that about it, certainly quite a bit more efficient than my tank over there. But anyway, have a great afternoon. Happy New Year to you. If I haven't seen you, if I've done a New Year video yet, I don't know if I have. But Happy New Year to you guys. I hope you have a great day, and I shall see you on the next one.